Members will be under the same regime. And can I have questions now?
Yeah.
And it's going to be specifically about the Mayor's position and whatever action he's taken in the last 24 hours in relation to London and its budget and its future. Assembly Member Dismore.
Thank you, Chair. Well, let's just... Perhaps I could ask you, Mr Mayor, what your hero Churchill might have thought about all this business about London and Europe and so forth. He wrote to Anthony Eden in October 1942. I look forward to the United States of Europe, in which the barriers between the nations will be greatly minimised.
If you look, you can't beat me on that one, mate. I've written a book on it.
Let's see, shall we?
You're totally wrong.
Let's see.
Go away.
No, Assembly Member
Choose
Dismore.
another line of attack.
Assembly Member Dismore, that was totally my fault. You shouldn't have been called.
That's a bit much. I'm just warming up.
No, well...
I'm just warming up.
Well, you've had an unfair start, put it like this. I'm so sorry. Can I call upon Assembly Member Bacon to put his question on behalf of the... I've got Assembly Member Dismore.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I was asking the Mayor about Churchill. We've got plenty more about Churchill, but he doesn't want to engage on that one. So, well, perhaps one. In 1948, Churchill said that he looked forward with confidence to the day when the Union would be achieved. But perhaps I could ask you about Napoleon then. Shall we ask about Napoleon and the Continental System? You were about to achieve what Napoleon 200 years ago couldn't do by cutting London's trade off from Europe in the Continental System. He couldn't do it. You're about to do it, aren't you? You believe in what the London Times said in 1857. Heavy fog in the Channel, continent cut off. You are about to cut London off from the continent, aren't you?
No, on the contrary. I think we're about to. If I can use,
London's trade.
We are going to save Britain by our exertions and Europe by our example. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
If I can quote Napoleon's the man who defeated Napoleon.
Assembly Member McCartney.
I haven't finished, Chair.
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Assembly Member Dismore.
Chair, well, going back to where you were, I was going to ask you why you were now impersonating Bismarck in his efforts to isolate Britain from Europe, and whether you agree
we saw him off too.
That those who forget lessons of history are destined to repeat them. But yes, you see his pointy helmet. Pointy helmet. So let's. But I think I'd like to.
Are you Dismark?
I'd like to move on to the fire brigade. Incidentally, did you? I assume you're aware that the European Union has given the London Fire Brigade €1 million for next week's exercise, which no doubt we would not have had you got your way.
Andrew, I'm always grateful for funds that return to London out of the billions, effectively, that London contributes to the EU. And we are, as you know, we are net contributors to the tune of about £8.5 or £8.6 billion a year,
anyway,
and rising.
I want to ask you,
as you will know, one of the main reasons why
I want to ask you about the fire brigade cuts.
One of the main reasons why the cable car is the only project in
to direct
London
FIPA to cut 13 fire engines, which we don't need to do. We can balance the budget without doing so. Were you aware, when you decided to issue that directive, that on the 6th of February, 9 fire stations were out of action for the entire shift, 5 more were off the run for at least 2 hours due to staff shortages, and of those 9 stations, three of them, 1/3 of them, where you've taken one of their 2 engines away, and if you hadn't, those stations would have remained operational. Were you aware that this isn't the first time recently we've had large numbers of stations off the run? For example, on the 26th of October, the day of that fatal fire in Camden we've debated before, 9 stations were off the run for the entire shift, including one of those where you've taken the pumps away. 2 more were off the run for part of the shift. And 5 of the 13 stations you want to lose an engine from aren't even on your optimum list to lose a pump. Did you know all that when you decided to put 2 fingers up to the public consultation, which overwhelmingly decided that they wanted to keep those 13 fire engines because they recognised they didn't need to use them. They have a greater concern for the safety of London than you do, don't
they? I think your last point is really, frankly, totally wrong when you consider actually that deaths from fire and fires have come down by about 50% since I've been mayor. As I was saying earlier on, it's of huge importance to people across the city, and I think the London Fire Brigade does an outstanding job, really, really amazing job.
Nobody's disputing that.
It is
Will you
true,
answer
it is
the
true
question?
that there is 2.8...
Were you aware that those stations were off the... 9 stations were off the run. Were you aware of that when you made your decision?
It is true that there is extra cash, as you have discovered, in the budget. The pensions cash is available, and I understand the point that you make about keeping the 13 appliances. I think it is... I listen to what you have to say. And,
it's a simple question. Did you or did you not know that 9 stations were off the run?
No, I didn't know that. No,
you didn't.
I wasn't aware of that, but
did you know that 9 stations were off the run on the 26th of October?
It has done nothing.
Did you know that?
It has done nothing to
did you know that?
Change the record.
Did you know that, Mr. Mayor? It's a simple question.
Actually, can I tell you that?
Did you know that? It's a simple question.
Did you know that there were fewer than 20,000 fires a year last year? For the first time since records began. Did you know that deaths by fire have been cut in half over the last 5 years? Did you know that?
Of course I did, but that's not the point, is it?
That's the key question.
That is the result of the good work of the Fire Brigade on its present strength.
I know.
If you cut the Fire Brigade, as you cut the police, you've seen crime go up. If you cut the Fire Brigade, you'll see a similar impact on the fire.
That's a serious point. And
but did you know? Did you know?
No, I didn't. I told you.
Question. No, you didn't.
Well, I've answered your simple question about 15 times.
No, you haven't,
in the same
actually.
way. I did actually. I answered about.
You didn't, though, did you?
I did. So
you said you didn't.
I did answer your question. I said I didn't know this pointless statistic that you quote.
It's pointless that 9 stations are off the run, is it? It's pointless to Londoners that 9 fire stations are off the run.
I wasn't aware of this useless and recondite fact that you've digged up.
The people of Londoners don't think 9 fire stations being off the run is pointless, even if you do.
What I did know is that deaths are down at record lows, and they've been cut by 50% in the last 5 years, and the number of fires is down to the lowest since records. Because the number of actual fires in the city is down to the lowest since records began, and that is very largely thanks to the work of the London Fire Brigade that we are trying to support. That we're all trying to support. Andrew, everybody here, and Gareth, as chair of LPPA, we are trying to support.
Yes,
through the
you
LPPA
supported,
budget.
to quote Mr Galloway of all people, you support the Fire Brigade like the rope supports the hanging man, don't you?
Well, I really think that's
very original.
I really think when you're driven to first you quote Bismarck and then you quote George Galloway. I think Andrew, you need to come up with some better political heroes.
Right. Let's try Pericles, your great hero, all right?
Pericles would do, yes. Absolutely.
Pericles made Athens strong. You have made London weak through the unprecedented cuts in the police and fire service.
I think that's completely...
Pericles restored Athenian democracy. You override public consultations and local council's decisions. Pericles built the Parthenon. What have you provided? The orbit and the cable car. Which do you think, will they last 2,500 years? I think not.
They will.
You're not Pericles.
They will.
You're not Pericles. You're John Bull. You're John Bull at the gates of Downing Street, not with a bulldog, but a Trojan horse containing your political ambitions at the expense of the British people, aren't you?
With Pericles, and you're quite right. I don't think there's ever been, since you mentioned construction, as I said at the beginning, I don't think there's ever been a period in the history of this city where we have seen such a dazzling array of new buildings.
Do you think you'll be remembered in 2,500 years like Pericles? You're more like Alcibiades than Pericles.
Periclean Athens, and if you look at what is happening around the city, I think you should have great pride in Londoners and what they're building. And I'm proud of all the objects that you describe, and there are many more currently under construction.
Have you finished, Mr Dismore?
Yes.
Thank you.
over the history lessons.
I'm not losing
Shall
my
we go back to
rag.
Churchill?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, thank you. No,
Shall we go
I've
back
just
to
asked-
Churchill?
No, thank you. I like the answer the first time round. Assembly Member Dismore, Assembly Member Gareth.
Gareth Bacon.